What's going on, everybody? It's Zach, back again with another review. Today, it's time for some gun control. That's right, I'm going to be talking about James Gunn's Superman today. And boy, am I happy to be talking about this movie, because it fucking rocks. David Corenswet's performance as the lead, the Man of Steel himself, is instantly in the comic book movie performance canon that holds both Charlie Cox, Robert Pattinson, and Tobey Maguire for me. I think that Corenswet has kind of taken the crown from Christopher Reeve, for me at least. I think that another performance in this film that I really, really want to talk about is Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. He is very clearly inspired by the Stephen Millers and the Elon Musks of the world. And I really enjoyed how Gunn was able to kind of dance that line without explicitly telling you and hitting you over the head with that fact. One thing I really liked about Lex in this film especially is that he's like an actual villain. Like, there's a scene where he has Superman trapped in a pocket dimension and he is trying to get information from him, and there's something that he does in order to get information from Superman that genuinely shocked me. Like, I yelled "oh shit" out loud in the packed theater. If you've seen the film, you know exactly what scene I'm talking about. But another performance I really enjoyed in this film is Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. I think that her performance in this is the closest Lois has become to Margot Kidder since Margot Kidder played the role in the 70s and 80s. I just loved everything about this film. Anthony Carrigan as Metamorpho is another performance that I really liked. I'm not really seeing that performance being talked about online like right now. I'm sure like the movie's only been out for like a couple days, so but yeah, this movie. Now, here's where the review turns into fake white activist mode that I'm sure when I put this review up, people in the comments are going to be like, shut the fuck up. But I am just so happy that James Gunn was able to sneak. Well, not really sneak. Actually, you know what? I'll start off with this instead of just diving straight into it. So a couple days ago, James Gunn gave an interview to, I believe, some sort of publication. I want to say it was the New York Times, but I'm not quite sure. But he talked about how this film is very influenced by our current political status. And now, normally when people say, specifically James Gunn mentioned that Superman in this film is an immigrant, and it's dealing with that sort of like iconography and whatnot. And no, well, not iconography, but that sort of like subject matter. And normally when there's directors that are like, my movie is like the parallax view with Captain America, I'm like, okay, this is just director bullshit. Like, I remember when fucking Ant-Man and the Wasp came out, and the writer was like, yeah, this movie feels like if fucking Alejandro Jodorowsky directed a Marvel movie. And I'm like, okay, buddy. But this movie, like, it's not director bullshit. This film is, as Gunn said, an immigrant story. Now, I was listening, and not to regurgitate a point by another critic. Well, I don't know if he considers himself a critic or not anymore, but I was listening to the Big Picture episode on this film before I recorded, and I heard Sean and Amanda mention that they kind of compared this movie, and I really agree with it, to The Brutalist, in that this film is about an immigrant who comes to America wishing for a very good life and is taken advantage of by, like, in this film, it's government forces, as opposed to in The Brutalist, it's like just a creepy guy who rapes him. Now, like I said earlier on in this review, I don't want all the fucking Trump people and pro-Israel people in my comments yelling at me. But one aspect of this film that I absolutely fucking loved is how pro-Palestine it is, and the fact that James Gunn was able to inject this political worldview into an almost $300 million blockbuster. There we go. Is just like hats off. Just that alone to me gives this movie a pass. It could have been, well, if it was shitty, then the political commentary probably would have been a bit muddied. But the fact that he is able to, like I said, insert a pro-Palestinian story into this film is absolutely incredible. And I'll talk about that part of the movie now. There is a war going on between a country called Moravia that is trying to, it's Moravia and Johannesburg. Johannesburg is the Palestinian stand-in. And to the point that there is a Netanyahu light president who, like, the second he was on screen, I'm like, oh, that's just fucking Netanyahu. That's not subtle at all. Yeah, I'm just, the fact that he was able to pull that off is very cool. And yeah, this film just made me really happy. Like, I'm, like, to be in the weeds as a Superman fan has been rough. Like, Man of Steel was not good. Batman vs. Superman was pretty good. The Snyder Cut, like, all of the Supermans that have come before, Christopher Reeve aside, is not, like, this is not the same as Snyder's version. This is a completely new vision by Gunn. And honestly, it's a vision that I fully agree with. And, like, if this is the road that the DCU is going to take, like this kind of campy, zippy style of filmmaking, then I'm in. I got season tickets to this shit. I will fucking be there for every one of these movies if it stays to this quality. I think that Superman overall is an incredibly special comic book film, and I recommend you go out and see it as big and as loud as possible. IMAX especially, because they played a One Battle After Another trailer that I have not yet seen, and I don't believe is publicly available on the internet right now. But if you want to see that trailer, just go see this movie in the theater, I guess. Yeah, go see it in IMAX. This movie, it's awesome. Like I said, I'll just kind of reiterate my points. I think that Corrin Sweat was absolutely incredible, and Holt was just as incredible, if not better, and Brosnahan was just absolutely aces as Lois Lane. Another performance I haven't really talked about yet, Skylar Gisondo, who plays Jimmy Olsen. Now, I've known this guy for a while in regards to movies. Like, he was in that show Santa Clarita Diet on Netflix with Timothy Olyphant and Drew Barrymore, and I believe the last film I saw him in was Licorice Pizza, the PTA movie. And his performance as Jimmy Olsen, the way that they do Jimmy Olsen's character in this movie is absolutely fucking hilarious. The fact that he's like essentially Clark's sidekick, but is essentially getting every woman on the street, and every woman finds him attractive, and that literally being a plot line in this movie is fucking hilarious. Like, the fact that Jimmy Olsen always, like, being around women is, like, essentially, like, the way that Lex is stopped in this film is absolutely fucking hilarious to me. I think that this film, like I said, I'm just rambling at this point, so if you've tuned out, then I'm with you. But overall, I recommend going to see this movie, and I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 5 on my rating scale. It is a very cool movie, and I hope everybody goes to see it, especially in IMAX. And I will end this review by saying that Free Palestine. Just, like, it makes the most sense for the world. And I really hope that people take the right message from this movie. And yeah, please like, share, and subscribe if you liked listening to me ramble about this film. And I will see you guys in the next review. Toodles. So I'm editing, and I realized I haven't even talked about, like, I talked about that movie for almost 10 minutes, and I didn't even mention fucking Crypto the Super Dog, which I think was an incredible addition to the film. And I know a lot of people are going to have issues with the fact that a lot of the humor in this movie relies on the CGI dog, but as a dog owner and an animal lover, I really enjoyed it. Another performance I wanted to shout out is Pruitt Taylor Vince, who plays Pa Kent. The scene between him and Clark on the front step of the Kent farm was absolutely beautiful, and is probably when this movie fully clicked into place for me as a 4.5 out of 5. All right. Like, share, and subscribe, all that business, and I'll see you guys in the next review for real this time. Toodles.